In a world where every day was adorned with golden sunshine and the flowers were amazingly beautiful, there lived a spirited little girl named Ellie. She had a heart as bright as the sun itself, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity. She was a cheerful child, with a crown of chestnut curls framing her face and rosy cheeks. Her beautiful eyes glistened with the joy of exploration. Ellie lived with her grandparents and loved exploring their home and having tea parties in the old conservatory. Her most treasured companions were her cherished teddy bears, each one unique and brimming with personality. There was Brownie, the fluffy brown bear with a mischievous glint in his button eyes. His soft fur always felt like a warm hug. Next came Marshmallow, the smaller bear with snowy white fur and a sweet, perpetually smiling face. She was the embodiment of comfort and calm. Ellie's third bear was Patches, the dapper bear with ebony fur and a red bow tie. He had an air of sophistication and wisdom about him, despite his cuddly appearance. As for Ellie's teddy bear friends, they weren't just any bears. They were her best friends, always ready for an adventure or a comforting hug. Each bear had its own distinct personality, and together they formed a tight-knit family that cherished every moment of their life with her. One sunny morning, Ellie had a brilliant idea. She looked over at her teddy bear friends, who were lined up on her cozy bed, and smiled. Their plush fur and sweet faces seemed to send a signal directly to her imagination. "Hey, teddies," she said with an infectious giggle. "How about we throw the best tea party our garden has ever seen?" To Ellie's delight, her beloved bears seemed to nod in agreement, their button eyes reflecting the excitement that danced in the air. Ellie's heart swelled with pure joy as she gently scooped up her cherished companions and carefully arranged them in her tiny wagon as she headed off towards her secret garden sanctuary. In this big old house, there was a special room full of sunshine and colorful flowers. This room was called a conservatory. It was her magical garden inside the house. Every morning, the sun would peek through the windows, sending shiny, golden rays to wake up the sleepy flowers. This room always smelled amazing, like a mix of sweet candies and fresh air, almost as if you were in a flower wonderland. And if you stood in the conservatory long enough, you'd almost feel like you were in a sunny dream. It was a warm and cozy place where you could forget about everything else and just enjoy the sweet, flowery world. It was Ellie's favorite spot in the house. On the weathered stone floor, she laid out an old baby quilt, making a cozy place for their adventure in case they wanted to take a nap later. And right next to it was her table and chairs, already set up for a grand tea party. Next, she carefully placed each of her bears in their own spot at the table. Ellie picked up her miniature teapot on the table and pretended to pour fancy tea into each of the dainty cups. The teddy bears, seated around the makeshift tea table, held their cups with their tiny paws and pretended to sip tea like refined guests. "Welcome to our fancy tea party," Ellie giggled as she introduced her teddy bear friends to each other. Even though they had known each other for years, it was all part of the delightful make-believe. As the tea party continued, as the day went on, something magical began to happen. Fairies, with shimmering wings, suddenly appeared in the garden and joined the festivities. As the host, Ellie greeted the uninvited guests just as if they were old friends. Giggles and laughter filled the air as the fairies shared enchanting stories with Ellie and her teddy bears. The afternoon soon turned into evening, and the day drifted away into a blur of happy stories and imaginary tea. Ellie and her teddy bears felt like they were living in a fairy tale. Soon enough, the sun began to fade, casting a warm, golden glow over the garden as the sky began to grow darker. Suddenly, the twilight garden was filled with 1,000 shimmering lights. Fireflies woke up and lit the room in a magical way, full of imaginary treats. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Ellie and her teddy bears were tired and sleepy and told their fairy friends goodnight. She gathered her cherished teddy bears close and carefully placed each of her teddies on the blanket on the floor beside her as she fell asleep. As the stars woke up, one by one, the garden became a beautiful dreamscape. The gentle night breeze sang lullabies and the flowers whispered sweet melodies. Underneath the stars, Ellie and her teddy bears dozed off into dreamland, still wrapped in the sweet memories of their enchanted garden tea party. The night held them tenderly, and as they slept, Ellie's dreams danced with the magic of their extraordinary day. In this world, where every day was a celebration of sunlight, dreams intertwined with magic, and the bond between a young girl and her cherished teddy bears was unbreakable. Soon the dawn appeared and painted the sky in shades of gold. As for Ellie's enchanted garden, it would forever twinkle in her mind with the memories of that special tea party. With the first light of morning, Lily and her teddy bear friends began to stir. As the friends woke up, they all knew that they were ready to start looking for more fresh adventures.